Women's Day. Your timing's so much, and it's particularly special to me that I get to interview a trailblazing female leader based in Italy, as my nonna, or anyone watching grandma in Italian, was born in Milan, and my dad was raised in Rome, Italy.
Fantastic. I've been raised in Rome as well and live in Milan, so this is really great.
You're making me miss it. I can't wait till the time we can go back to traveling and I can go back eating pasta. But
and some research.
I actually told my dad I was getting the chance to talk to you today, and now I'm receiving texts only in Italian. So I think this is my test to actually learn my Italian, get better, right? But we're so excited to have you today, and I think it can feel to so many that executives are far out of a person's reach. And really the goal of this interview, and the reason I've actually turned this into a weekly session, is to offer a sort of virtual mentoring where your reach is to so many women and men globally who have that growth mindset, who are looking to learn and apply what they learn to their own careers. And I think what is especially unique about you and the way you aspire to help others is how available you made yourself for us in this opportunity to teach, inspire, and motivate others. And we really appreciate that. You know, learning from your experiences will be huge. You're currently Global Vice President of Business Applications at Microsoft, held so many other amazing leadership roles before this at some, for the most recognizable tech companies, including your time at IBM as a vice president, senior vice president at AP, and even within Microsoft, your current role is not your one that you've held in leadership. You've also been recognized as a general manager and beyond. And, what inspired the creation of this conversation, there's a statistic that only 50% of entry-level female employees will result in leadership roles, and the percentage decreases at executive level. And these numbers are single digit looking at the metrics for women of color. So we really want to make that impact.
Yeah, absolutely. There is much more that we should be doing for women, and it's very important that we get together and understand more of each other and create much more allyship among us. What has been very important in my own development has been the understanding of as a woman in terms of bring up education mindset would have potentially made me back if I was not really aware of certain things. And one thing that has helped me enormously when, for instance, I worked at IBM in my initial career years, was to get this level of awareness of the fact that there were things that were being roadblocks and how it would work to actually go around roadblocks. And it was extremely useful to me.
I think that's huge. And I think especially the fact that you represent and have worked for so many tech companies that are these large corporations, and talking about identifying roadblocks and getting past them and what it takes. And I think some of those lessons will be helpful today for those who are tuning in to learn from and apply in their everyday action within their own career. And I think, anyone who's watching this and finds you online and connects with you, they'll see that you make it really clear that your goal is to help industry leaders reimagine and re-engineer their business processes and disrupt their status quo, creating new levels of excellence. And I love that, new levels of excellence. And, not only doing that for clients, there's got to be a huge amount of trust and relationship building, but not only for yourself, but the leader that you manage and the teams that they then manage. And so I'm just really excited to dig into this. And before Leah takes over with some questions that we received from the field directly, do you think you could go into your current role today a little bit more, the path that got you there, as well as we'd love to hear kind of something that sparks your joy in your personal life? How do you find that professional and personal balance?
Okay, so my role of today, I'm extremely excited about this role because I think we are at a moment of IT where we can really make a completely different way of approaching business processes. Now, business processes represent how every company works. What are the tasks that have to be made in every single function to make things happen, in being it an enterprise or a public organization, a company, or basically every business. And this business process, up until few years ago, had to be built in a very relatively rigid way. Now, lots of development work behind build the application, and so quite some level of rigidity came with it. Thanks to the cloud and the advancement in technology that has, this can be much more agile, and so companies can be reinvented in the way they work because of this extreme flexibility that technology can provide in how business processes are connected, and people are brought together, and how they employee or customer and or supplier can integrate into that overall system, and this opens up completely different level of possibilities that, for instance, right now in this COVID time, that helping enormously companies to respond much faster to the changes in supply chain need, interaction with customers, way to provide food and goods, and traceability of people, vaccine management system. Right. You see how many things this can, the technology can support in improving.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think kind of the pivot that the world had to make because of COVID, it made things move so much faster. I think that the world that you manage, Microsoft, in your leadership role really flexed very fast, business applications. And so it's neat to see that. And it's neat to see that you're a part of the leadership team that's responsible for that. I mean, your role is huge, and I've seen how many announcements lately have been going out around business applications at Microsoft. So I would imagine it's tough to find a down moment, but how do you spark joy in your personal life? Like, what do you love to do that's not necessarily work?
There are many things that I love to do that are not work. Many of which I cannot do now because of it, like skiing. That I really love is the number one. I love to be with people and talk to people and party, but that's also not allowed right now. But there are also other things that I learn to love more thanks to COVID, like yoga, that I already had discovered before COVID, and I was already enjoying it a lot. But I didn't have enough time with all the other things I love to do, and so I'm doing more of that. I mean, I love my family, but I'm having a lot of my family.
Careful what you wish for.
So I'd always in my life been shorter with my kids, and we always catch up on being able to have a lunch together or and stuff like that. And now that has been every day. And so they tell me, when is the away a little? They want to be left alone. So I mean, there are many things that I enjoyed, and my kids are the things I enjoy the most. In these days, they're having a little too much of me around. So yeah, they are begging for me to go out.
I completely understand. I was joking about Dad earlier, but I have to say I got this app during COVID, and it's I think it's called Babbel, and you can practice different languages. And I thought, well, I should improve my Italian. So now he actually gets calls from, and I'm asking him like, "Come stai? Dove sei?" And of course he's picking up the phone to this, wondering, what is my child calling and asking me these random questions? Now he knows it's practicing. So I'm probably driving him a little nuts. That's cool. That's awesome. I like how you said that, although there's so many that you love that aren't necessarily things we can do right now, you've created other loves in your life during COVID, like yoga and that time with family, etc. That's really cool. And it's important to see. it's nice to see your professional balance personal as much as you possibly can. And I think that as Leah goes into some of these questions that we received, we actually kind of our ears and our eyes open on apps like Clubhouse, where people are trying to get career development advice, and on LinkedIn, and we gather questions, and that's what we're sharing with you. And I think it's exciting to focus on the how. So when we're going over and they're like, how can someone apply this in there every day? And I think that's what gets me really excited about this part of the session.
Okay.
Awesome. So I do want to thank you again, for your time. So yes. So I do want to reiterate what Christina said as well. We did gather this from many different places, all of the questions, but it is a mixture between the field and what we kind of came up with, what we thought would be interesting to know. So one of the first things that was kind of came up with, are your actions deliberate, and where you want to be in your career? More specifically, like your role in your industry. Is that somewhere you always knew you wanted to be, or is it something that just maybe popped up?
Oh, no. I've not been so planful. I'm by the way, I'm an Italian, so I'm not planful by definition.
I could relate.
More of the creative type. I think that what I've always had with me was a passion for making an impact, for things that had a big purpose for society, and challenge in general. But since I was little, I always wanted to help people to communicate more easily. And this goes back to, I had an uncle that was a sailor, and he was always in the middle of the sea somewhere in the world, around the world. And my mom worrying about where he was, and all the anxiety of when we could be able to talk with them. There were big appointments to be able to talk. And my dream was to do something that would make that much easier. And in fact, I went into engineering, and I did a master in telecommunications because went into that. Then in reality, I didn't have a specific plan, to be honest, apart from childish dream. But I mean, we have so many other dreams when we are children that I think I have many other things. It's really the curiosity to push the boundaries for something more, and that makes sense in people's life, in the way the business works, and what he achieved. And by continuously going that direction, I found my path. In the past, I did certain things, and then it has evolved and went through the evolution of the world. I wrote it and went to my current job.
Amazing. So that would be the next question. A lot of women were wondering, I want to be in this world. I don't really know where to start. I don't know what industry I want, what department is right for me. It seems that your advice would be kind of to keep on that curious path, never really let go of what will happen if I go. Don't be afraid to try to venture out.
Oh, that's the fundamental point. I mean, really, if you want to ask me, what is that made the biggest difference in my life, in feeling fulfilled, and what I achieved, there's always to there. More courage in what you do, and push the boundaries of where you want, or you feel there is something that can be more interesting. Go for it. And one thing we don't do enough, women, we don't dare enough. I've been managing women in my career, and mentoring, coaching them, and as well as men. More men than women, because there are more men in this business than women. But when I compare, a woman tends to be much more critical on her capabilities, and before feels qualified to ask for more, needs to be way overqualified before it gets that courage. And here is where I really would like to give you an important piece of lesson that was for me a lesson when I was told about these things. Don't feel to know everything, go for something. Be bolder on basis of what you already have, but also on potential that you can have, and believe much more in your potential. When I was at the IBM time, I was put through a women leadership council. I was already in executive position, and this was through this process I got a training of things that stop people, stop women, roadblocks, as I was saying before, that people, women in their way. And this one about not feeling qualified enough was a fundamental one that I was taught. How much we tend more for perfection. We want to be, we want to be just for our abilities. We want the others to recognize without being ourselves, to go and push for them to be seen and recognized. So these are the type of things which we need to be aware of, to win ourselves over and push ourselves forward a little bit more.
So just to add, because I'm so glad that you brought that up, Tina, because there has been a topic that I just keep hearing about, you know, in terms of questions, and it's imposter syndrome. So anybody that's tuning in that isn't familiar with the term, it's that chronic self-doubt and sense of intellectual fraudulence, despite the ability and proven successes of a person. And I think that that is something that comes up, unfortunately, more with women than men. And just kind of persevering and just doing it, like you said, be curious, be bold, and just do it.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And it's important to be aware of that sort of emotional hijack that you might have. And so when you think about your own development, challenge more yourself, saying, "Well, I could push the boundary more. I mean, I'm thinking that I could do this, but is really this I should shoot for, or could I shoot for even more than this? Why shouldn't I shoot more?" And try to find the reason why you actually should go for more, rather than that thing that you think you deserve and they're not noticed. And why, if they didn't even notice I was worth this, they would give me this other thing. Forget that they didn't notice, make them notice, and go on the path of what it takes to get that big step forward.
Exactly. Yeah, this imposter syndrome, the self-doubt can really be like anchoring. Leaves a lot of women stuck in what they're doing. So I do think it seems like rather than seeking other people to find the value in you, you always should know that you have the value in yourself. So that's amazing. So another thing that women were kind of wondering is that, like, should they have a sponsor? So I was wondering maybe if you had a sponsor that you kind of can lean on in times of maybe, you know, you're not sure of what you should be doing next. Just someone who's important to your career journey.
You need many sponsors. You need sponsors all over. You need sponsors also side work that actually believe you and give you that burst to go and pour more. And so your sponsor are your friends, are your family, are those people that you find on your way that give you the motivation. But yes, in the work, I had to learn this. To be honest, I was not that good at creating my stakeholder for my career. My initial career years have been done with really just very, very, very. I'm sorry, I didn't switch my phone off. Sorry.
No.
And I was in that imposter syndrome now of think, okay, if they're not noticing, maybe I am not as prepared as other people. And then, first of all, I started to have some coaching, and you need to take coaching from whoever it comes from. And just people that I met on the job made me notice I was not looking at the opportunities I could have for. And then more and more I found on my path people that in one way or another, they were giving me advice on to progress. And I must say that for a long time, more the people that I felt appreciate me, the one I've been leaning more on. But then I also learned that it was also very important to listen to the feedback of the ones that we didn't feel were really having, I didn't feel we're having a great connection, and try to have the conversation and understand what were the things that they're seeing as my gaps and so on, and work on those. But it's better if you also find a structured way to do this and have a real mentor you can rely upon, and people that you go and ask for a sponsor, and be very explicit about saying, would you be my sponsor? I did this more later in my career, and I was pushed to go for a mentor, and I had Tony Whitens to be a mentor. And that has been the most wonderful experience I ever had in terms of being coached as a person. I don't know if you know Tony. If you don't know Tony, go and look for Tony. She is an amazing woman, absolutely fantastic and very, very inspiring. And what she gave was the structure on how I should go after my career. And she explained me that it was important to build my stakeholder map, understand who were the people I needed to work with, to understand better myself, understand better how I was seen. We like to be seen in a nice way, but not always the perception that others have corresponds to our own perception. And check on what is that perception, and then also explicitly line up your sponsor. So who is going to be a sponsor? And might be in multiple actions, because we might dream for a job, but for many circumstances, no matter how fantastic it can be, there might be other reasons why that job was for somebody else. But there might be other opportunities we are not considering that actually can be great for ourselves. And this network of stakeholders, mentorship, sponsors, body is an important one. And one that we, as women, we undermine is the allyship that we should create among ourselves. But I'm going to stop and let you make another question, because maybe I'm going
That's
too
really
much.
cool, though. And I think that I've never heard of it as a stakeholder map, which is very intentional and it's calculated. And that's really important to pick up on if anyone's tuning into this and trying to find those nuggets to take away. And there's a difference between a mentor and a sponsor. And a mentor is someone that you're learning from. I mean, like you said, can come across the board, and I value coaching because I love feedback and learning. But a mentor is someone who has that one-on-one relationship with you and helping guide you. And then a sponsor is within your organization, or the other one I love that you made is that it could be outside of your organization, who's really endorsing you and advocating for you to kind of move up and you know, have that growth. So that's very powerful. Leah, do we have, like, maybe for sake of time, this is so helpful to hear from you, Santina, but maybe our top 3 questions that are left? You're good on time, Santina?
I'm good on time, if you are.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question, you know, based off of how you said, you know, family can be very supportive of you and provide, you know, this coaching of some sort. Christina has really been one of the coaches for me. She's helped me a lot to kind of feel my value in the meeting. But that's something that maybe some women just don't have when they're seated at this huge table, very male dominated. They may feel sort of, you know, pressure to say something, but they don't know how. So how would you kind of help them get on that? What's your advice?
I think that maybe that point was making before of allyship and creating around you a network of women, but also men. You share also vulnerability, but also ambition and where you want to get. How together with this person or people that you are going to create the allyship, make them come, go forward, support each other. One other thing that as women we do much is this sort of loving with each other, because we from our ancestral time is not something that as women doing, going and hunting together, men would be going and do. And but there is a lot. I mean, we are good at being friends and sharing lots of things. And from an emotional standpoint, we do a lot of that. We need to do that also when it comes to our own career, when it comes to our performance, and not feel shy or embarrassed or inappropriate about that. We are very much more confident that those are conversations we can have amongst. I mean, I love to have people reach out to me. I had women that have been reaching to me for help, and that you also reach out to me. And other leaders, women leaders, are very happy to support other women. So go for it. Go and ask for help, support, coaching, sharing of what you're going through and how you might overcome the challenges.
Amazing. And I think that this might be one of the last questions. I just find it so interesting. So this is why this one I'm going to specifically ask. But you have seen success in this field, you know, just this huge global team that you're managing. How is it trying to, you know, keep everything aligned? And, you know, how do you make it work?
I have lots of people that have to make it work. So that's the other interesting thing, is that bigger jobs are not necessarily more difficult than smaller jobs. Because in bigger jobs you have more people that help you to get things done. So through it like all these things. Important, very important to balance work and life. Because it's really true, the time that you rest, you get with family, to do your own thing, you power yourself, that you find energy, the lucidity, the frame of mind that do the tough things at work. And so I think, how do I manage? I manage being very determined at keeping something for myself. I learned that when from a workaholic, that was when I had no kids. I had kids, and that forced me to switch off work. And I became so much better at my work because I was switching off. I would do the stuff I need to do much faster, take quicker decisions, more confident. And this was only because what mattered more to me was my kids. and so I was taking the time with them that allowed me to get perspective on what I was doing, and with that have a better balance and be more impactful at work.
There were a few people that asked about family planning, and when you have a role in leadership, like how do you accommodate that, and how can you actually, you know, not babies if that's your thought, or just playing for your family, like I mentioned. Sounds like you had children, and they, you know, it became a priority, and so that helped you figure out the balance. Is that right?
Yes, and it helped me to be better at work because they gave me a different view on things and got more courage to take the decisions at work faster. You sort of see that. I mean, work becomes more of something that is part of, not the only thing, and it's important these days like that.
Really beautiful. And like that's good advice for someone who have to decide on one or the other.
No, you decide to have both. Absolutely.
I love that. This is really good. And I really like the themes that I'm hearing as you talk, just throughout all the questions. I've been sitting back and listening, but you're talking about community and like, kind of a sisterhood, like partnerships across your teams, inside of work, outside of work, whether they're mentors, champions, or, sponsors, you name it, or just someone you want to ask for feedback or coaching. Sometimes I ask folks that I'm not very close, like Leah's been my team. I might ask someone who's not directly on my team, and that's sometimes when you get the best feedback or coaching. Sometimes they, share it all. That's great. But these are things people can actually action in their career that they're talking through, whether it's preparing for their next meeting, managing their management. Like, how do you get your managers to help you be successful? And I think the last thing, and then I'll stop talking, is just that, like, we're in this new world, right? So connected. I talked Clubhouse, but there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. So even if you don't have that direct manager necessarily, maybe they haven't been trained on how to manage as well, you have access to everyone else in the world. You can create that.
Yes. And you can be surprised how much people are more willing to help than not. Not always. I reach out for help goes in the right direction, but also because people sometimes are just too busy because they don't want to help. But many times it's actually they're very, very, very keen to help. And because also there is, it's in that relationship, you're gonna give a lot as well in terms of your perspective, and so you said sisterhood. I think we need to go much more for sisterhood. Yes,
I agree.
I think that's really important too, how all the networking that was mentioned and sisterhood, because unfortunately some people feel maybe their management isn't helping them grow as much as they would like to. So I think it would be, as you stated, very important to reach out, and you have all these avenues. So yes, it's
now's the time. It's like
exactly.
With COVID, with everybody kind of at home. It's funny because I'm so used to traveling for work, and I always, I don't have to catch up with a friend or this or that. There's these excuses. Now I'm at home and I'm like, hey, everyone, let's connect. Like, where have you been the last 2 years? So I think something that could really be put into action too is check out your networks right now. And if it's not where you want it to be, make that the goal and kind of start building it. That's what LinkedIn is for. And find those conversation points and actually, have a dialogue, set up a call, whatever it is. It could be 15 minutes.
Exactly. Even 10 minutes can make wonders. Yes.
A coffee chat. Do it over coffee. Can't go wrong with caffeine. Santina, this has been such a pleasure to get the chance to talk to you. It's particularly still to me because it's International Women's Day. You're in Milan. You're joining us. I don't even know what time it is there right now. I know it's later than you should be on the call.
Our track is at 9:20.
Oh my God. Well, we really appreciate your time. And this has been huge, not only for us to get the chance to talk to you, but to bring you with this greater reach to appeal to people who can learn. And so thank you.
I hope it can be useful, and I can be reached on LinkedIn or other ways that you can find. It would be my pleasure to continue the conversation. Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you. And we'll actually share this on YouTube, and we'll also leave LinkedIn so people can find you and connect with you.